Okay. Here mechanical properties of solids are elasticity. So mechanical properties of solids are elasticity. Mechanical properties of solids are elasticity. Here actually elasticity means, suppose you take a rubber cord or you take a rubber wire. Okay, along its length you apply the force on the rubber cord and you pull them. Then the length of the rubber cord increases. Then we can say some elongation takes place in the rubber cord. When you release them, automatically it come back to the original position now. It acquires the original size now. So that particular property of the body by means of which it regains its original shape or size after removal of the external force. That property is called elasticity. So elasticity means a property of a body by means of which it regains its original shape or size after removal of the external forces. That is called elasticity. Why? How the body regains its original shape or size after removal of the external forces, that we have to discuss. Okay, so here initially first we have to see how the atoms or molecules are arranged in a solid, in a given solid. Okay, so from that we have to know deforming force. Deforming force. Okay, suppose we are given one body. We are given a rubber cord you take. We are given a body or rubber cord. In any body or rubber cord, here around the given molecule or atom, number of atoms are present around this given atom or molecule. Suppose this is one atom, this is another atom. Here every atom is surrounded with different some number of atoms over there around them. Okay, so ikkada number of atoms institute ఉంటాయి. In any given solid, every atom is surrounded with a number of atoms around them like that. Okay, in between these two, suppose you take these two atoms, in between these two some attraction force is there. In between these two attraction force is there. In between these two attraction. In this way, every surrounding molecule attracts this molecule towards them. So, but net force acts on the body is zero. Net force acts on the body is zero. That's why every atom or molecule is under equilibrium. Every atom or molecule is under equilibrium. Okay, and in between any two adjacent atoms here, in between these two like this, attraction forces are there. Okay, so here that can be represented with the spring structure. Suppose in between these two, whenever these atoms or molecules are under equilibrium, at that time, suppose if you imagine the spring between these two atoms, it is initially a spring is in unstructured condition. Okay, similarly here in this way springs are there like this. Of course, springs are not there, just in order to understand how the forces developed in between the two atoms whenever the size or shape of the body undergoes changes. In order to explain them, here one example is given like this. In this way, in between any two atoms, adjacent atoms, some attraction forces are there. But the atoms or molecules are under equilibrium in any solid at a given temperature like this. Okay, now suppose this atom is displaced. Suppose if you elongate the wire, then length of the wire increases. No, for example, it is a rubber cord. In case of rubber cord, initially rubber cord is at certain position, so that when no force is applied on the rubber cord, the atoms or molecules are like this. In between any two adjacent atoms, some attraction forces are there. These attraction forces are balanced by this one. Attraction forces present between any two adjacent atoms, that is the interatomic force or intermolecular forces. Here in between these two molecules, intermolecular force is there. Here intermolecular force is there. Here. In this way, intermolecular forces are there between any two adjacent atoms. But initially, whenever no external force is applied on the system, all the atoms are under equilibrium, under stable equilibrium. Under stable equilibrium, this atom is having minimum potential energy. This atom is minimum potential energy, and net force acts on any atom becomes zero. Now, it is the case of the rubber card when no external force is applied. Suppose along the length of the rubber card, the force is applied and pulled in this direction. In such case, the atom or molecule is displaced in this direction. This displaced in this direction. This displaced in this direction. So that the distance between the atoms or molecules increases. Whenever the atoms or molecules displaces from their equilibrium positions immediately, suppose the atoms or molecules, whenever the wire is elongated, if the rubber card is elongated, because of application of the force, if the length of the rubber card increases, then distance between atoms or molecules increases. When distance between atoms or molecules increases, whatever the spring, extension takes place in the spring. Whenever extension takes place in the spring, immediately the spring force developed in the spring and the spring force try to bring the molecules back to its original position. అవునా ఇక్కడ ఈ రెండు atoms, suppose you consider these two atoms are molecules. If the rubber card is extended due to application of the external force, the distance between any two adjacent distance between every two adjacent atoms increases. When it increases, how the suppose in this example, whenever the distance between the atoms increases, extension takes place in the spring, and spring force is developed, and that spring force brings the atoms or molecules back to its original position. Similarly, even in case of atoms or molecules also, even though there are no springs, of course, whenever the distance between atoms or molecules increases, some forces are developed inside, some forces are developed, attraction forces are developed in between the two atoms. And when you remove the external force, those that external forces, the forces of attraction developed between the atoms or molecules brings the molecules back to original position after removal of external forces. Such forces developed in between any two adjacent atoms is called interatomic forces or intermolecular forces. They are also called as the restoring forces. Restoring forces are developed in between any two atoms or molecules. Restoring forces. Restoring means regaining original shape or size. Such forces developed are called restoring forces. That restoring forces brings the atoms or molecules back to its original position. Okay, when you remove the external force. Similarly, in between any two atoms, whenever the atoms or molecules displace their places, then restoring forces are developed. And when you remove the external forces, these restoring forces brings the atoms or molecules back to its original position. Because of that, the body regains original shape or size after removal of the external forces. Such forces developed within the body, due to which it regains its original shape or size after removal of external forces, is called restoring forces. Restoring forces are developed inside the solid body to bring the body back to its original shape or size. Suppose if the body is compressed, that means if you apply the force on a body so that its length decreases, then the body is said to be compressed. When the body is compressed here, when the body is compressed like this, then distance between the two atoms or molecules decreases. Whenever distance decreases, then if you imagine any spring is here, then it is compressed. When compression takes place, the spring force developed and pushes the two atoms or molecules away each other. That's why when you remove the compressive force on the body, then the restoring force is developed in between the two atoms or molecules, brings the atoms or molecules back to its original position. That's why when the body is compressed or when the body is extended, if you remove the external force on the body, because of development of these restoring forces, the atoms or molecules are brought to original position. Due to that, the body acquires the original shape or size. Such forces developed, such internal forces developed in between any two atoms or molecules in a body, which brings the body back to its original shape or size after removal of external forces, are called the restoring forces. Here, external force which is applied on a body to change its shape, size, to change its shape or size of a body, that is called the deforming force. Because of application of the external forces, if the shape or size of the body undergo changes, then the body is said to be deformed. The body is said to be deformed. And such forces applied on the body to change its shape or size is called the deforming force. So the applied force is called the deforming force. Okay. So what is the elasticity property means? The property of a body by means of which the body regains its original shape or size after removal of these deforming forces is called the elasticity. So that is the definition of the elasticity. Elasticity. So you got idea about deforming forces. So deforming forces means the forces that acts on a body which changes size or shape of a body is called deforming force. Okay, the forces that acts on a body which changes the shape or size of a body are called deforming forces. When deforming forces are removed from on the body, then the property of a body by means of which regains its original shape or size after removal of deforming forces is called the elasticity. So elasticity means the property of a body, by means of which it regains its original shape or size, original shape or size after removal of deforming forces, after removal of deforming forces is called elasticity. The body possesses this elastic property because of intermolecular forces or restoring forces developed inside the body. This is because of intermolecular forces are restoring forces. Intermolecular forces are restoring forces developed in the body. During deformation. Whenever the deforming forces are applied on a body, due to the shape or size of a body changes takes place, then the body is said to be deformed. Because of deformation of the body, intermolecular distance changes. Whenever intermolecular distance changes, then intermolecular forces or restoring forces are developed. Due to that, on the removal of the deforming forces, immediately because of this restoring forces developed, the body brings back to the original shape or size. Okay, so this elastic property is because of the restoring forces developed in the body. Otherwise, there is no possibility for the bodies to regain their original shape or size after removal of the deforming forces. Okay, it is the elastic property. Next, elastic body and plastic body. So elasticity definition is this one, that is very important. Next, elastic body, plastic body. Elastic body. First, elastic body. The body which regains its original shape or size after removal of the deforming forces is called the elastic body. The body which regains their original shape or size after removal of the deforming forces is called the elastic body. Inside the elastic body, because of development of the restoring force on a body. Actually, in case of any elastic body, whatever the deforming forces applied on the body, the same amount of restoring forces are developed inside the body, and that brings the body back to its original shape or size after removal of that deforming forces. Such body is called the elastic body. So, what are the examples for elastic body? So, in case of elastic body, we can write steel, rubber. Example, we can write steel, rubber, different bodies, wood, etc. Steel, rubber, copper, water. We can write liquids also. Oil, water, oil. Okay. Next, phosphor, bronze, wire. Phosphor, bronze. That means it is alive. Phosphor, bronze, wire, quartz, crystal, quartz, etc. Here, in the steel, rubber, copper, water, oil, etc. These are not perfectly elastic bodies because there is a little bit amount. These bodies cannot regain their original shape to 100% back. A little bit there is some deformation is there, permanent deformation is there. But almost all asper, bronze wire or quartz, almost all it regains their original shape to 100% after removal of the deforming forces. That's why this asper, bronze wire and quartz almost all acts as the perfectly elastic body. Of course, there is no perfect elastic body in the universe, but asper, bronze wire and quartz approximately acts as the perfectly elastic body. So perfectly elastic body. So, whatever the deforming forces applied in a body, after removal of the deforming forces, whatever the amount of deforming forces, if the body regains its original shape or size after removal of deforming forces, such body is called perfectly elastic body. Example, these two we can say, asper, bronze wire and quartz. These are the best example for perfect elastic body. Of course, this asper, bronze wire and quartz are almost all close to plus perfectly elastic bodies, not 100%. Among the different bodies, these two are close to perfectly elastic bodies, not 100% elastic bodies. Okay, so this is about elastic body. In case of elastic body, when you remove the deforming forces, almost all atoms or molecules come back to the original positions, come back to the equilibrium positions almost all. That's why it completely regains its original shape or size after removal of the deforming forces. Next, plastic body. In this week, you are having elasticity chapter exam. Elasticity total chapter. Okay, next, plastic body. Plastic body. The body which cannot regain their original shape or size after removal of the deforming forces. That is called a plastic body. The body which cannot regain their original shape or size after removal of the deforming forces. That is called the plastic body. Okay, so what is the plasticity? Plasticity means the property of a body by means of which it cannot regain its original shape or size after removal of the deforming forces is called the plasticity. Such bodies are called plastic bodies. Example, solving wire, chewing gum. A plastic body, what are the example means? Solving wire, chewing gum, putty, mud. These all are the examples for plastic body. Okay, lump of clay, etc. These are the examples for the plastic body. I think you know the soldering wire. Yeah, toothpaste. Yes, eraser, sponge duster. You are telling. Not toothpick. Toothpick is the elastic body only. Not toothpick. Paste acts as the elastic body. Lump of clay. That means it is a clay. Lump of clay means it is the some clay, a lump of mud, wet mud. That is the lump of clay that acts as the perfectly plastic body. Mud, of course, putty. Putty means maida mudda. That putty acts as the lump of clay. Chewing gum. Suppose in case of chewing gum, when you elongate the chewing gum, it elongates. When you just leave them, is it come back to the original position? No. So that's why that chewing gum is the plastic body. Soldering wire. In case of in order to join the two electric wires together, instead of twisting like this, both are joined by means of a soldering wire. Soldering wire means by, I think if you see the repair center, TV repair center, etc. They use the soldering wire. Just like they hold one screwdriver type instrument that is called soldering iron, soldering. By means of that, the wire is molded, and at the two ends of the two wires which are to be joined at that place, they put the soldering wire in molten state. And when you remove them, it becomes solidified so that the two wires becomes a single wire. Okay. So that is the example, soldering wire. That is the example for plastic body, chewing gum, putty duff. Putty duff means maida mutta. Putty duff, mud, lump of clay, etc. All these are the examples for plastic body. All these are examples for plastic body. Okay. So next, after this, strain. Deforming forces means, external force acts on a body due to the shape or size of a body undergoes changes are called the deforming forces. If you remove the deforming forces, if the body come back regains its original shape or size, then that is called elastic body. If the body cannot regain their original shape or size after removal of deforming forces, that is called the plastic body. The property of the body by means of which it cannot regain its original shape or size after removal of deforming forces is called the plasticity. The property of the body by means of which the body regains its original shape or size after removal of the deforming forces is called the elasticity. Okay. Now strain. Because of application of the deforming forces on a body, whenever the shape or size of a body or both shape and size of a body undergoes changes, then the body is said to be deformed or the body is said to be undergone strain. అంటే ఒక బాడీ మీద డిఫార్మింగ్ ఫోర్స్ అప్లై చేసినప్పుడు బాడీ యొక్క షేప్ గానీ సైజ్ గానీ మారినప్పుడు బాడీలో డిఫార్మేషన్ ఉంది అంటాం, లేదా బాడీలో స్ట్రెయిన్ ఉంది అంటాం. బాడీలో స్ట్రెయిన్ ఉంది అంటాం. సో when the shape or size of a body undergoes changes due to deforming forces, then the body is said to be undergo strain. How we can measure strain? ఎట్లా మెజర్ చేయాలి? Strain అంటే because of application of the deforming forces on a body, if the shape or size or both can changes take place, then the body is said to undergo strain. That is the definition of the strain. How we can measure this mathematically? Strain, whatever the type of strain is equal to change in dimension. Because of deforming forces, how does the dimensions of the body changes? How does the length changes? How does the volume changes? Okay, change in dimension by original dimension. Change in dimension by original dimension. It is the general formula for strain. Original dimension. Change in dimension by original dimension. As strain is the ratio between the two similar quantities, strain has no unit and no dimension formula. On what factors strain depends? Strain depends on one, nature of material. Suppose same deforming force is applied on the rubber card and on the steel wire. Which will elongate more? Which will elongate more? Which will elongate more? Steel will elongate more. Rubber will elongate more. Okay, that's why change in dimensions of the rubber is more than the steel. That's why strain, rubber is having more, rubber card or rubber wire is having more strain than that of the steel. That's why strain depends on the nature of material of the body and nature of material of the wire. Nature of material. Nature of material ante it depends on the interatomic forces or intermolecular forces developed in the body. Okay, it also depends on the initial dimensions. అంటే ఇనిషియల్ గా ఇచ్చిన వైర్ లేదా ఇచ్చిన బాడీ యొక్క లెంత్ ఎంత ఉంది, వాటి మీద డిపెండ్ అవుతుంది. ఇనిషియల్ డైమెన్షన్స్. తర్వాత మనం ఎంత డిఫార్మింగ్ ఫోర్సెస్ అప్లై చేస్తాం, అమౌంట్ ఆఫ్ డిఫార్మింగ్ ఫోర్సెస్ డిపెండ్స్. అంటే సపోజ్ వెన్ యూ అప్లై ద మోర్ డిఫార్మింగ్ ఫోర్సెస్, more change in dimensions are there, so that more strain is there. So it depends on the deforming forces. Whatever the deforming forces developed acting on the body, same amount of restoring forces are developed in the body if it is elastic. Are perfectly plastic body and even when you apply the deforming force on a body, then the body undergo deformment so that intermolecular distance changes. Even the intermolecular distance changes, no intermolecular forces are developed inside the body. Due to that only, even deforming forces are removed. As no intermolecular forces are developed inside the body or no restoring forces developed inside the body cannot regain its original shape or size after removal of deforming forces. Such type of body is called a plastic body. That's why here this strain depends on the deforming forces on a body and also temperature. Suppose whenever the temperature is more, heat చేస్తాం మనం బాడీని. Whenever the body is heated, elastic property decreases. What is the reason? Whenever the temperature increases, the body expands. Whenever the body expands, the intermolecular distance increases. And intermolecular distance increases not due to deforming forces because of rise of temperature. Because of rise of temperature, because of expansion in the body, the distance between any two atoms or molecules increases. So interatomic distance increases. Whenever interatomic distance increases, the attraction force decreases. That's why elastic property in general decreases due to temperature, due to rise of temperature. That's why here the strain also depends on the temperature also. So these are the factors on which the strain depends. Based on the type of strain developed in the body. So because of application of the deforming forces, in some cases the shape of the body alone changes takes place without changing the volume. In some cases, because of deforming forces, length changes. In some cases, volume changes. So based on the type of strain developed in the body, strain is classified into three types. So first one, strain is classified into three types. Strain is classified or divided into three types. So first one, longitudinal strain. First one, longitudinal strain. Suppose there is a wire. Here it is a wire of length L, having uniform area of cross section A. Okay, here it is the axis of the wire. It is the cross section of the wire. When you apply the force, deforming force on a body perpendicular to its cross sectional area, the surface, ఈ cross sectional area కి perpendicular గా, ఈ cross sectional surface కి perpendicular గా F force apply చేసినప్పుడు it is called normal force. Because of this normal force, if the length of the wire increases along its length of the wire increases normal to its surface, normal to its cross section in this direction, then we can say tensile strain takes place in the wire. Because of this deforming forces on a body, on the wire, if the length of the wire increases, if the deforming forces are applied on a body perpendicular to the cross sectional surface, perpendicular to the cross section, which is called normal force. Because of this normal force acts on a body along its length. Due to that, the length of the wire increases. Suppose the wire extends up to this one. The wire extends up to this one, so that increase in length is say delta L. Okay, then the strain developed in the wire is called the tensile strain. Actually, longitudinal strain ki formula ఏంటంటే in general, change in length by original length is called longitudinal strain. Because whenever you apply the deforming force on a body along its length may increase or decrease. Suppose if you apply the force on a body in this direction, length increases. If you apply the force on the body in this direction and it is fixed, then length decreases. That means because of application of the deforming forces, the length changes by delta L amount. Then the ratio between the change in length to original length, that is called longitudinal strain. Therefore, longitudinal strain is equal to change in length by original length. That is called the longitudinal strain. Change in length by original length is called longitudinal strain. In this first one, tensile strain. Tensile strain is formula is same only. Formula is same. Whenever the normal force is applied, normal force means normal deforming force is applied means perpendicular to the cross section. When you apply the force on this cross section normal to its surface, that is called normal force. Because of this normal force, as the length of the wire increases here, then the strain developed in the wire is called the tensile strain. It is called tensile strain. So tensile strain here is equal to increase in length by original length. Formula is same, delta L by L only, but delta L is the increase in length. Increase in length. Okay, by original length, L means original length. Original length means when deforming forces are not applied, whatever the length of the wire, that is called original length, and it is the increase in length. The ratio between the increase in length to original length is called the tensile strain. So when does the long run strain take place in the wire means when you apply the deforming forces normal to its cross section. In such cases, the length of the wire increases. Due to that, long term strain takes place. The long term strain takes place if the length of the wire increases due to the application of these deforming forces. Such long term strain is called tensile strain. Suppose if you apply the force on the body in this direction, then compression takes place. Formula is same. Such strain developed in the wire is called the compressive strain. Compressive strain. That is equal to, formula is same, delta L by L. But delta L means that is the decrease in length of the wire. Decrease in length by original length. Formula is same. So the ratio between the decrease in length to original length is called compressive strain. What is the percentage change in the length of the wire because of application of the deforming force? They may ask. Then the long term strain or tensile strain into 100 gives percentage change in the length of the wire because of these deforming forces. Whatever the, in case of elastic body, whatever the deforming force applied on a body, the same amount of restoring forces are developed inside the body to bring the body back to its original shape or size after removal of deforming forces. Okay, so as the any type of strain is the ratio between the change in length to original length means ratio between two similar quantities, length to length. That's why the strain is having no unit and no dimension formula. Strain has no unit and no dimension formula. Okay, it is the long-term strain. Length changes because of application of this force. That's why such strain is called long-term strain, which is equal to change in length by original length. Long-term strain is the ratio between the change in length to original length. Change in length by original length. In case of tensile strain, this long-term strain is of two types: tensile strain, compressive strain. Tensile strain means ratio between the increase in length to original length. Compressive strain means ratio between the decrease in length to original length. This is called different types of strains. Okay, it is one type of strain. That is the long-term strain. Next, shearing strain or tangential strain. Shearing strain or tangential strain. Shearing strain or tangential strain. Second one, in types of strains, already one strain we discussed it, so just now. So second one, shearing strain or tangential strain. Shearing strain or tangential strain. Okay, suppose you take a cubical shaped body or you take a square plate, rubber plate. Suppose it is a rubber plate. You take the rubber plate like this. Or you take the cube. It is the cube. It is the cube. It is the cube. it is a cube of side say L. The bottom of the cube is rigidly fixed. The bottom of the cube is rigidly fixed like this. Okay. On the upper surface of the cube, along the tangential direction, some force is applied. Along the tangential direction, some force, deforming force is applied like this. The bottom surface is fixed. Okay. On the upper surface, along tangential direction, some tangential force is applied. Because of this tangential force applied, what happens? Tell me. Is the shape of the body changes or not? Tell me. Because of this tangential force, is the shape of the body changes or not? Initially, it is cubical shape. Initially, it is in cubical shape. Whenever the bottom surface is fixed and upper surface, on upper surface along tangential direction, when you apply the force on a body, which is the tangential force, because of that, is the shape of the body changes or not? You imagine. Suppose you take the sponge duster. Bottom surface of the sponge duster is fixed and at the upper surface it is pushed like this. Pulled like this. Then the shape of the sponge duster changes, no? So here also shape of the cube changes because of this tangential force. Okay. Here suppose this vertical face displaces to this one. This vertical face displaces like this. So that this vertical face comes to occupy this position. This side comes to this position. This side comes to this position. Similarly here also. This side occupies this position. This side occupies this position. So whenever the tangential force is applied on the body here, then this vertical face displaces by certain angle, say phi. The vertical face, this face displaces by certain angle, so that the vertical face displaces by a length equal to delta L. Then this angle, the tangent of this angle through which the vertical face displaces because of application of the tangential force is called the shearing strain. The tangent of this value is called shearing strain. Okay, because of this tangential force applied on a body along the tangential direction, due to that, the shape of the body alone changes take place, but there is no change in the volume of the body. Such type of strain developed in the body is called the strain or tangential strain, the shearing strain or tangential strain. So, shearing strain. So, because of application of the tangential force, because of tangential deforming force, because of tangential deforming force, because of tangential deforming force F, the shape of the body undergoes changes. Shape of the body changes takes place. Without changing the size, without volume, without changing the volume, without changing the volume. Because of tangential deforming force, the shape of the body changes take place without changing the volume. Then the strain developed is called shearing strain or tangential strain. Shearing strain or tangential strain. Shearing strain or tangential strain. How we can measure? Shearing strain or tangential strain, which is phi, that is nearly equal to tan phi. Because phi value is very less within the elastic property. That means we have to apply the deforming force on a body so that the body undergoes strain, and when you remove the deforming force, the body has to come back to the original position. Original position means definitely the body behaves like elastic body. So within the elastic limit of your body, after removal of the deforming forces, if it come back to the original shape or size, then it is within the elastic limit. Within the elastic limit. Okay, the shearing here within the elastic limit, the angle through which the vertical face of the body displaces because of this tangential force is very small. When it is very small, this phi is called shearing strain. As it is very small, this can be written as tan phi, which is equal to, from the diagram, tan phi is equal to displacement of the face on which tangential force is applied with respect to fixed face. ఈ ఫిక్స్డ్ ఫేస్ తో కంపేర్ చేసినప్పుడు అప్పర్ ఫేస్ tangential ఫోర్స్ ఏ ఫేస్ మీద అప్లై చేసామో ఆ ఫేస్ యొక్క డిస్ప్లేస్మెంట్ ఎంత అంటే దీంతో కంపేర్ చేసినప్పుడు ఈ ఫేస్ ఇక్కడ దాకా డిస్ప్లేస్ అయింది అంటే డెల్టా ఎల్ ఇస్ ద డిస్ప్లేస్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ ద అప్పర్ ఫేస్ విత్ రెస్పెక్ట్ టు లోయర్ ఫేస్ అది డెల్టా ఎల్ బై పర్పెండిక్యులర్ డిస్టెన్స్ బిట్వీన్ ద డిస్ప్లేస్డ్ ఫేస్ అండ్ ఫిక్స్డ్ ఫేస్ ఈ డిస్ప్లేస్ అయిన ఫేస్ కి ఫిక్స్డ్ ఫేస్ కి మధ్య పర్పెండిక్యులర్ డిస్టెన్స్ అంటే ఎల్ గా సో దట్ ఈస్ ఎల్. So shearing strain is equal to tan phi, which is equal to delta L by L. Delta L means that is the relative displacement of the one layer with respect to other. Displacement of this layer with respect to this. Okay. So relative displacement of one layer with respect to other due to application of the force due to F. By perpendicular distance or normal distance, perpendicular distance between the two layers. ఇక్కడ ఏ లేయర్స్ అయితే మనం కన్సిడర్ చేసామో ఆ లేయర్స్ మధ్య పర్పెండిక్యులర్ డిస్టెన్స్ బిట్వీన్ ద టూ లేయర్స్ దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ ద షేరింగ్ స్ట్రెయిన్ ఆర్ టాంజెన్షియల్ స్ట్రెయిన్. ఓకే, దిస్ ఈస్ ఆల్సో కాల్డ్ యాజ్ ద టాంజెన్షియల్ స్ట్రెయిన్ ఆర్ టాంజెన్షియల్ స్ట్రెయిన్. Okay, because of shearing strain, volume does not change. Because of shearing strain, volume of body does not change. But shape of the body alone changes. Alone changes within the elastic limit. Within the elastic limit. It is about shearing strain. This is about the shearing strain. Any type of strain, that is the ratio between the two similar quantities. That's why we are not having any unit and dimensional formula. Okay. Because of shape changes here, this face comes to this position. Okay, this length, you see, this side just changes like this within the elastic limit. Within the elastic limit, only shape will change, but size does not change. Volume does not change. Base area is not changed. Height L should decrease. Okay. Within the elastic limit means almost all this the perpendicular distance between these two almost all remains constant. Within the elastic limit, I am talking about within the elastic limit. Within the elastic limit, here you see, within the elastic limit I am talking. Within the elastic limit, there is no considerable decrease in the distance between these two faces. Here we have tried the initial separation between the two faces only, not now. Initial separation between the two faces is L. Because of deforming forces, this vertical face displaces by a distance equal to delta L. Okay, so vertical separation between the two faces before application of the deforming force is L only, no? Sidhu. Before application of the tangential force here, the distance between these two faces is equal to L. That L I have written here. Perpendicular distance between the two layers before deformation or before strain. Before strain, we can write before strain. Okay, it is the shearing strain. Next, third one, bulk strain. Bulk strain. Bulk strain, or it is also called as the volume strain. Bulk strain or volume strain. Bulk strain or volume strain. Because of application of the normal force on a body, if the volume of the body decreases, then a strain developed in the body is called bulk strain. So because of application of the normal force on a body, if the volume of the body decreases because of application of the normal force, that such change in the because of such normal force, if the volume changes takes place, then the strain developed in the body is called the bulk strain. For example, here in a liquid, a spherical shaped body, in a liquid, a spherical shaped body is kept submerged like this. In a liquid, a spherical shaped body is kept like this. Okay, because of hydrostatic force here, because of pressure on each and every point of the spherical, on each and every point on the spherical surface of the body here, some pressure acts. Due to that, force acts towards the body, in all directions. Force acts towards the body in all directions like this. Due to that, volume of the body decreases now. Initial volume of the body when no force is applied here is say V. But when it is submerged in a liquid, because of pressure exerted by liquid on the body, force acts on them normal to its surface. ఈ స్పియర్ యొక్క సర్ఫేస్ కి నార్మల్ గా అన్ని డైరెక్షన్స్ లో కూడా ఫోర్స్ పనిచేస్తుంది. Because of that, the volume decreases or the body is compressed. Due to that, the volume change in volume is the decrease in volume. The volume decreases. Volume decreases. In first case, in case of long-term strain, because of deforming forces applied, because of normal force acts on a body, the length of the body increases. But because of normal force acts on the body like this, the volume decreases. That means volume changes. So because of this normal force, if the volume of the body changes take place, then such type of strain in the body is called the bulk strain. So because of normal deforming force acts on a body in all directions, due to that, compression takes place in the body and volume changes takes place. Such type of strain developed in the body is called the bulk strain or volume strain. So how we can measure this bulk strain or volume strain? Bulk strain or volume strain. Bulk strain. Bulk strain or volume strain is equal to decrease in volume, minus sign represents decrease in volume by original volume. So decrease in volume by original volume. Decrease, the ratio between the decrease in volume to original volume is the bulk strain. Bulk strain is also the ratio between the two similar quantities. That's why it is also having no unit and no dimension formula. So in case of any type of strain, no unit and no dimension formula. Okay. Sometimes they may ask, what is the percentage change in volume? Percentage change in volume of the body when submerged in a liquid means bulk strain into 100. Because bulk strain means it is the fraction of change in volume of the body. Into 100 gives percentage change in volume. Okay. So it asks the percentage change in volume when the body is submerged in a liquid. If you are given bulk strain into 100 gives percentage change in volume. Bulk strain into 100 gives percentage change in the volume of the body. So this is about bulk strain. In this way, we are having three types of strains in our syllabus. They are long-term strain. Of course, in long-term strain, tensile strain or compressive strain is there. Next, shearing strain or tensile strain is there. Next, bulk strain. Okay. Here, next, stress. Stress. Here you see, because of application of the force on a body, whether the force is applied normal to its cross section or tangential to the surface, because of that, the shape of the body or size of the body undergoes changes. Then same amount of restoring force is developed. For example, you see here, suppose it is the rubber cord or rubber wire or steel wire, whatever it may be. Okay, it is the axis of the tube. The axis of the wire. Length of the wire is L. Area of cross section is say capital A. So here normal force is applied on the wire along its axis, or force is applied normal to its cross section. This is called normal force. It is called normal force. Normal deforming force or simply normal force. because of normal force applied on the wire perpendicular to its base and perpendicular to its cross section, then the length of the wire increases. Then tensile strain takes place. So whenever the tensile strain takes place, at that time, what is the normal force applied on the wire means that is the here this is the normal force applied on the wire so that its length increases. That's why this force is called longitudinal force also. So whatever the normal force applied on the wire to increase its length, the same amount of restoring force is developed in the wire normal to its cross section. That is called restoring force. So restoring force developed. Restoring force by area of cross section. By area of cross section. The restoring force developed because of application of the deforming forces as the shape or size of the body undergoes changes takes place. Due to that, intermolecular distance or interatomic distance changes. Hence, restoring force are developed. Restoring force developed for this much area of cross section is say F. Because restoring force developed within the elastic limit, the restoring force developed is same as the applied force here. So restoring force developed for unit area of cross section, that is called the stress in the body. That is the stress. So within the elastic limit, that is very important. Within the elastic limit only we are discussing. Within the elastic limit means when you remove the deforming forces, if the body come back to the original shape completely after removal of the deforming forces, then the body is said to be within the elastic limit. Okay, so that within the elastic limit, the ratio between the restoring force to the ratio between the restoring force developed by unit area of cross section within the elastic limit. Within elastic limit is called within the elastic limit. The ratio between the restoring force per unit within the elastic limit, the restoring force developed per unit area of cross section is called stress in the wire. Okay, here based on the type of strain, the stress developed in the body is classified into three types. First one, longitudinal stress. Longitudinal stress. Longitudinal stress. Longitudinal stress means here you see longitudinal stress is equal to restoring force developed per unit normal area. Here you see normal force applied on the wire is equal to F by area of cross section is A. So within the elastic limit, the ratio between the restoring force developed per unit area of cross section is called the longitudinal stress. Okay. Second one, shearing stress. So longitudinal stress means within the elastic limit. Within the elastic limit, the restoring force developed per unit normal area is called longitudinal stress. This is the cross section area normal to the force. Force by normal area of cross section, F by A. That's why it is the restoring force developed per unit area of cross section. That is called longitudinal stress. So while defining every stress, because types of strain and types of stresses, these two are important for 4 marks in IPE. Intermediate exam lo explain the different types of stresses under 4 marks. But first you write the definition of the stress. Within the elastic limit, the restoring force developed per unit area of cross section is called the stress. What is the SI unit of stress? SI unit of stress is what? Force by area. That means Newton per meter square. As it is also having same unit, no? That's why it is also called as the Pascal. SI unit of stress is Pascal. Dimensional formula is same as that of the pressure. Force means ml t to the power of minus 2. By area means L square. So ml inverse t to the power of minus 2 is the dimensional formula of the stress. So dimensional formula of the stress is ml inverse t to the power of minus 2. That is the dimensional formula of the stress. Types of stresses. First one, long-term stress. Within the elastic limit, the ratio between the long-term force to unit normal area, or within the elastic limit, the ratio between the long-term force developed per unit area of cross section, unit normal area of cross section. That is called the long-term stress. Next, shearing stress. Shearing stress or tangential stress. Shearing stress or tangential stress. Second one, shearing stress or tangential stress. Shearing stress or tangential stress. Previously, we are having diagram now. It is the tube. Okay, this lower face is fixed, and along the tangential direction on the upper face, the tangential force is applied. Because of that, the changing shape takes place now. Changing shape takes place. Suppose the force applied, tangential force applied on the surface of area capital A. If the side is L, area is equal to L square. If side is L, area is equal to L square. Okay. Shearing stress or tangential stress means shearing stress is equal to tangential force applied per unit area, unit surface area. Okay. Surface area, of course. Tangential force by unit surface area. Tangential force per unit surface area. That is called the shearing stress. Tangential force by surface area on which tangential force is applied. Surface area. That means F by surface area A. In case of cube, surface area is equal to L square because side is L. So with the elastic limit, the tangential force applied on unit surface area, that is called the tangential stress. Okay. The tangential force within the elastic limit, the tangential force applied per unit surface area is called the shearing strain. That is the definition of the shearing strain. So shearing stress, no, shearing stress. Shearing stress is also equal to F by A. That means SI unit is same as that of the Pascal or Newton per meter square. Dimension formula is also same. Any type of stress having same unit Newton per meter square or Pascal, and dimension formula is this one. Okay. Next, bulk stress. Next one, bulk stress. Third one, bulk stress. Already bulk strain we observed. The normal for bulk stress is equal to within the elastic limit. Within the elastic limit, the bulk stress is equal to normal force applied by change in volume, decrease in volume, by surface area. Here also formula is same, surface area. ఎందుకంటే ఆ బాల్ ని లిక్విడ్ లో సబ్మిట్ చేసినప్పుడు అన్ని డైరెక్షన్స్ లో పనిచేసే నార్మల్ ఫోర్స్, టోటల్ నార్మల్ ఫోర్స్ F by surface area is 4πr square. That is the bulk stress. So bulk stress is also having same formula F by A only. The normal force developed per unit surface area. The normal force acts on unit surface area of the body to change its volume. That is called the bulk stress. Here the tangential force acts on unit surface area to change the shape of the body alone. That is called the shearing stress. Everyone, while defining long-term stress, shearing stress, bulk stress, we have tried within the elastic limit. That is important. Whenever the body exhibits the elastic property, then only these formulas are applicable. That's why within the elastic limit, so within the elastic limit, the restoring force developed per unit area of cross section, or within the elastic limit, the tangential force acts on unit surface area is called the shearing stress. Within the elastic limit, the normal force acts on unit surface area, or the force acts on unit normal surface area. That is called the bulk stress. In this way, we can define the bulk stress. So the types of stresses. This is also very, very important for IP. For IP, they may ask for 4 marks. What is stress? Explain different types of stresses. What is strain? Explain different types of stresses. Different types of strains. So what is the elastic limit? I am telling within the elastic limit like that, no? So here, suppose you take the rubber cord. You apply the small amount of force on the rubber cord and you stretch them so that the length of the rubber cord increases. Okay, when you remove the force, then the rubber cord almost all come back to the original shape, original size after removal of the deforming forces. You increase the deforming force, then it elongates more. Again, you remove them, it come back to the original size, acquires the original size. If you apply the as because of increasing deforming force, as the length of the rubber cord gradually increase in length of the rubber cord increases. In this way, if you apply the large amount of deforming force on the body, is the rubber cord come back to the original shape or size? If you apply the large force on the rubber కార్డ్ లేదా రబ్బర్ వైర్ మీద ఎలాంగేట్ అవుతుంది కదా అని చెప్పేసి చాలా ఎక్కువ ఫోర్స్ ని అప్లై చేస్తాం అనుకోండి, లాంగ్ టర్మ్ ఫోర్స్ ని, ఈస్ ద రబ్బర్ కార్డ్ గెయిన్స్ ద కంప్లీట్ సైజ్, ఇట్ గెయిన్స్ ద కంప్లీట్ సైజ్ వెన్ యూ రిమూవ్ ద డిఫార్మింగ్ ఫోర్సెస్? నో. దట్స్ వై when you apply the more deforming forces, the rubber card cannot regain its original shape or size totally. It may breaks or permanently there may be increase in length of the rubber card. That's why that is not within the elastic limit. But here we have to discuss within the elastic limit only. Whenever the body possesses the elastic property, in such cases only I define all this. That's why within the elastic limit means the maximum stress developed within the body, the maximum stress developed in the body within which the body regains its original shape or size after removal of the deforming forces is called the elastic limit. So, what is the elastic limit? Elastic limit means the maximum stress developed in the body within which the body regains its original shape or size after removal of the deforming forces. That is called the elastic limit. So we always discuss the every point within the elastic limit property only. Okay. Elastic limit. The maximum stress developed in the body within which the body regains or restores its original shape or size after removal of deforming forces is called elastic limit. This is the definition of the elastic limit. So within the elastic limit only we are discussing each and every point. Beyond the elastic limit, if you apply the deforming forces, due to that the wire may be broken, the body cannot regain their original shape or size after removal of the tangential forces. The volume of the body, the change in volume. Here, whenever the large deforming forces are applied on a spherical shaped body, okay, its volume increases greater extent. When you remove the deforming forces, the body cannot regain its original size, original volume after removal of the deforming forces. If applied force is large, because they are not within the elastic limit. Within the elastic limit means whatever the force you apply within the elastic limit, after removal of the deforming forces, the body regains its original shape or size or volume. So such concepts, in such limit only we are discussing each and every point. So this is the elastic limit. Okay. So in this chapter, every topic is discussing within the elastic limit only. That means the body exhibits the property of elasticity. In such cases only we are discussing, because the chapter name is elasticity. That's why we are discussing the properties of the elastic bodies only. That's why they must be within the elastic limit. Okay. So far we have discussed the different types of strains, stresses, and next elastic limit we discussed. Okay, now Hooke's law. Hooke's law. So within the elastic limit, within the elastic limit, within elastic limit, any type of stress is directly proportional to strain. Within the elastic limit, the strain developed in the void is directly strain developed in the body is directly proportional to the stress developed in the body is directly proportional to strain. So according to Hooke's law, within the elastic limit, the stress developed in the body is directly proportional to strain. Yeah, today I will send the notes also. I will keep in group. Okay. So remind me in the study hour. So within the elastic limit, the stress is directly proportional to strain, or stress is equal to some proportionality constant capital E into strain. This proportionality constant E is equal to stress by strain. This proportionality constant in this formula is called modulus of elasticity. Modulus of elasticity. Elasticity. So modulus of elasticity E is equal to stress by strain. So what is the SI unit of this modulus of elasticity? What is the SI unit of this modulus of elasticity? Stress means nothing but pressure. By strain means strain has no unit and no dimension formula. Stress is the unit of pressure. It is having dimension formula of pressure. That's why SI unit of modulus of elasticity is Newton per meter square. SI unit of modulus of elasticity is Newton per meter square or Pascal. Newton per meter square or Pascal. Dimension formula of modulus of elasticity. Dimension formula is it is same as that of the pressure. So what is the dimensional formula of pressure? ml inverse T to the power of -2 no? Because force by area. Force, it is stress means force by area. By strain has no unit. Force by area means ml T to the power of -2 by L square. That's why ml inverse T to the power of -2 you will get. So it is the dimensional formula of the modulus of elasticity. Okay. Based on the type of stress or strain, modulus of elasticity is classified into three types. Based on the type of stress developed in the body, the modulus of elasticity is classified into three types. Okay. First, Young's modulus. Young's modulus. Young's modulus. The modulus of elasticity is called Young's modulus whenever the stress developed is longitudinal stress. Okay. So Young's modulus Y is equal to longitudinal stress by longitudinal strain. Longitudinal stress by longitudinal strain. Of course, tensile stress by tensile strain or compressive stress by compressive strain, what it may be. So how we can define this modulus of elasticity? Within the elastic limit, the ratio between the stress to strain is called modulus of elasticity. What is the Young's modulus? Within the elastic limit, the ratio between the longitudinal stress to longitudinal strain, that is called Young's modulus. Young's modulus is having same dimension formula as modulus of elasticity. Okay. Next, second one, rigidity modulus. Rigidity modulus. Rigidity modulus is represented by small n. In some books, it is represented with eta also, symbol, whatever it may be. So rigidity modulus n is equal to, within the elastic limit, the ratio between the shearing stress to shearing strain or tangential stress to tangential strain. Shearing stress by shearing strain. So within the elastic limit, the ratio between the shearing stress to shearing strain is called the rigidity modulus. Okay. Next one, bulk modulus. Next one, bulk modulus. Third one, bulk modulus. Bulk modulus is represented with K. Here Young's modulus Y, rigidity modulus N. Bulk modulus is represented with K. Okay, so bulk modulus is equal to, within the elastic limit, the ratio between the bulk stress to bulk strain. Bulk stress to bulk strain. Within the elastic limit, the ratio between the bulk stress to bulk strain is called the bulk modulus. Okay. So here this is also having same unit as the same dimension formula, same unit as that of the pressure. Unit is Newton per meter square or Pascal. Dimension formula is ml inverse t to the power of -2. Any type of modulus of elasticity, whether it is Young's modulus, rigidity modulus, or bulk modulus, that depends on nature of material and temperature, but it does not depend on the dimensions of the body. So modulus of elasticity here modulus of elasticity E depends on nature of material of the body, nature of material and temperature. These are the quantities on, these are the parameters on which modulus of elasticity depends. It does not depend on the dimensions of the body. Does not depend on the dimensions of the body. So in this way, there are three different types of moduli of elasticity. Okay, next, Poisson's ratio. Poisson's ratio, sigma. It is represented with sigma. For example, because when you know the Poisson's ratio, then we can write the relations among Y and K, sigma. The relations style. Okay, first we have to discuss the Poisson's ratio. From the rigid support, suppose a wire of, it is a cylindrical wire, and a wire ki cross section ఎట్లా ఉంటుంది, circular shape లో ఉంటుంది కదా. There is a wire of radius of cross section R initially. Here this is the axis of the wire. దీని యొక్క length initial గా L ఉంది అనుకున్నాం. This length is L. Radius is R. Radius of cross section is R. అంటే దీని యొక్క radius ఇక్కడ నుంచి ఇక్కడ వరకు R. Okay. Now along its length, suppose here one end of the wire is fixed. At the other end, suppose a force is applied along its longitudinal force is applied. Longitudinal force means perpendicular to cross section or normal to cross section. When you apply the force in this direction, then we can say longitudinal force. Because of longitudinal force, length of the wire increases. Suppose whenever the length of the wire increases, the wire occupies the position like this. Suppose. The wire occupies the position like this. You see, this is the axis of the tube. Here the radius of the axis of the wire. It is the radius of the wire initially. But whenever the longitudinal force is applied on the wire, then the radius of the wire decreases. Suppose the radius of the wire decreases by delta R, minus delta R, because minus represents decrease in radius. But at the same time, the length of the wire increases by some length, that is say delta L. So when you apply the force along its length, or when you apply the longitudinal force on the body, on the wire, due to that, the radius decreases by delta R and length increases by delta L. Length increases by delta L. Here, perpendicular to the applied force, if the dimensions of the body changes take place, you see, applied deforming forces or longitudinal forces are in this direction. Perpendicular to applied force here, you see, along this direction, radius decreases, no? That means change in dimensions take place perpendicular to the applied force, no? Perpendicular to the applied force, if the dimensions of the body changes take place, then we can say lateral changes take place. But here the radius decreases, that means lateral contraction strain is there in the wire. Lateral contraction strain means perpendicular to the applied longitudinal force, the radius decreases. That's why we can say lateral contraction strain is there in the wire. At the same time, the length of the wire increases along the applied longitudinal force. That's why we can say there is a longitudinal elongation strain is there. Okay, the ratio between the lateral contraction strain to longitudinal elongation strain, that is called the Poisson's ratio. That is called Poisson's ratio. So therefore, Poisson's ratio sigma is equal to lateral contraction strain, lateral within the elastic limit, the ratio between the lateral contraction strain to longitudinal elongation strain. Elongation means increase in length. Longitudinal elongation strain. Longitudinal elongation strain. So within the elastic limit, the ratio between the lateral contraction strain to longitudinal elongation strain is called the Poisson's ratio. Okay. So from this, that is equal to lateral contraction strain means delta R by R, because lateral contraction strain means perpendicular to the applied longitudinal force. Whatever the change in dimensions, then such strain is called lateral strain. Here, as the radius decreases, that is called lateral contraction strain. Minus sign represents contraction. So lateral contraction strain means minus of change in radius by original radius, perpendicular to the longitudinal force applied on the y. That's why it is called lateral contraction strain. By longitudinal elongation strain means delta L by L. Increase in length along the longitudinal force applied by original length. That is called longitudinal elongation strain. So sigma is equal to this one. Okay, from here, this is the formula, very, very important. So from this, we can write lateral contraction strain delta R by R is equal to minus sigma into delta L by L. Sometimes it will be given. Long-term strain will be given. Then what is the percentage of lateral contraction strain? And the lateral contraction strain percentage and 100. Then by using this formula, we can calculate. By using this formula, we can calculate. Okay. Sometimes you will be given one example I want to discuss. Okay. Before that, what about the sigma value? Sigma is the ratio between the two similar quantities. Sigma is the ratio between two similar quantities. That's why it has no unit and no dimension formula. It is having some values. Here, theoretical limits. Sigma value for given materials are having certain limits. A given body sigma value lies within certain range. So theoretical limit. There are two types of limits: theoretical and practical limits. What are the theoretical limits, practical limits? I will explain. Theoretical limits of sigma. That means from 0. Theoretical limits of sigma is from -1 to 0.5. -1 to 0.5. What is the theoretical limit? Means you see, because of application of the longitudinal force here, if this will increase, that means if the lateral expansion takes place, force in direction apply చేసినప్పుడు general expansion ఉంటుందండి ఇటువైపుకి. When you apply the force in this direction, is it possible to have the lateral expansion? The force apply చేసిన direction perpendicular గా expansion ఉంటుంది అసలు. long-term force ఇటువైపు అప్లై చేసినప్పుడు length increase. అదే టైంలో perpendicular to the applied force, is there an increase in the radius? Is there an increase in the radius? No. Radius increase కాదు. ఒకవేళ ఇంక్రీజ్ అయితే ఆ కండిషన్ లో థియరిటికల్ లిమిట్ -1 వస్తుంది. అది ఆఫ్ కోర్స్ అది థియరిటికల్ గా పాసిబుల్, ప్రాక్టికల్ గా మనం దట్ ప్రాక్టికల్లీ ఇట్స్ నాట్ పాసిబుల్. అందుకనే థియరిటికల్ లిమిట్స్ వచ్చేసరికి -1 to 0.5 ఉంటుంది. -1 to 0.5. ఓకే, ప్రాక్టికల్ లిమిట్స్ 0. Practical limits of sigma 0.2 to 0.4 వరకు 0. Okay, practical limits 0 to 0.5 ఉంటాయి. 0 to 0.5. But for most of the metals, sigma value is in between 0.2 to 0.4. These two are very, very important. The theoretical limits, practical limits. In IP, number of times they asked the limits of the Poisson's ratio. Limits of the Poisson's ratio means theoretical limits, practical limits we have tried. This is 1 mark, this is 1 mark. 2 marks they asked number of times the question. It is very, very important. So for most of the metals, it lies in between 0.2 and 0.4. Okay, next. You are given in case of a cylinder. One example I want to discuss is, because in mains they asked the question. Based on this concept, they asked it in mains. Based on this concept, one problem they asked it in mains. That's very, very important one. They are given the sigma value for a given wire or given body. Then what is the fractional change in the volume of the body? They asked it. They are given one cylinder. Poisson ratio is given. Poisson ratio is given. Okay. Fractional change in the length is also given. Then what is the percentage change in volume? They asked it. What is the percentage change in volume? They asked it. How we can calculate? One example. Here the cylinder is given. So along the length of the cylinder, when a long-term force is applied here, length increases like this. So increase in length is delta L. At the same time, the thickness decreases. That's why there is a lateral contraction strain, delta R. Okay, in this case, sigma is also given. Asked to find what is the percentage change in the volume, delta V by V into 100. They asked. That is the case. We are given just a sigma and original length of the wire is also given and change in length is also given. Because delta L by L into 100, this value is given. This value is given. They asked to find what is the percentage change in volume. So in this case, whenever the long force is applied, thickness decreases and length increases. That means lateral contraction strain is there, longitudinal elongation strain is there. Longitudinal elongation strain delta L by L is given. They asked to find bulk strain. They asked delta V by V. They asked. Of course, we can find the percentage directly. So bulk strain they asked. How we can find? You see, volume of the given wire is equal to area of cross section of the wire pi square into length L. It is the volume of the given wire only, given cylinder only, For this cylinder, area of cross section is pi square into length gives volume. Okay. Whenever the longitudinal force is applied like this, length changes, radius changes, and due to that volume also changes. Okay, that's why fractional change in volume delta V by V, V power 1. So 1 into delta V by V is equal to pi is constant. Pi is constant, so that's why there is no variation in the pi value. That becomes 0. Here R square, power 2 is there now, 2 into delta R by R plus L power 1 into delta L by L. Okay. Here we are not given delta R by R. Delta L by L is given. Okay. How we can find delta V by V? Delta R by R is not given. So this is the equation 1. But Poisson's ratio is given. That's why Poisson's ratio sigma is equal to lateral contraction strain delta R by R by longitudinal elongation strain delta L by L. From this, delta R by R is equal to, we can write minus sigma into delta L by L. No? Substitute this value in 1. 2 in 1 gives. 2 in 1 gives. Delta V by V is equal to 2 into delta R by R can be written as minus sigma into delta L by L. Minus sigma into delta L by L. Okay, plus already delta L by L is there. So therefore delta V by V is equal to 2 into delta L by L you take common, then 1 minus sigma you will have. So this is the fractional change in volume. When sigma and longitudinal strain both are given, then fractional change in the volume can be had by using this formula. Of course, we have to remember the procedure. That is important. Percentage means into 100. Delta V by V into 100 if they ask. Percentage change in volume if they ask. Delta V by V means this one. 2 into delta L by L into 1 minus sigma. Into 100 is there. Into 100 you write. In this way, by using this formula, we can find the percentage change in the volume. Okay. Next. Suppose this is a node 1 or example 1. Okay, next 2. In case of perfectly rigid body or perfectly incompressible body, okay, for perfectly rigid body or incompressible body, for perfectly rigid body or incompressible body, for perfectly rigid body or incompressible body, A modulus of elasticity is infinity, and Young's modulus, rigidity modulus, bulk modulus, all are maximum, which is equal to infinity. Theoretically, okay, for perfectly plastic body, it has no stress developed. That's why for perfectly plastic body, when no stress is developed, modulus of elasticity is equal to stress by strain. Stress is zero. That's why modulus of elasticity is also zero. So for perfectly plastic body, modulus of elasticity is equal to 0, that is equal to y is equal to n is equal to k. All are 0 for perfectly plastic body. Okay. Third one, arch and phosphor branch wire. Phosphor branch wire can be treated as perfectly elastic bodies. Perfectly elastic bodies. Already I said this one, the introduction of elastic bodies. Okay, next one. The wire which is having what is the importance of the rigidity modulus? A wire which is having low rigidity modulus, that wire can be twisted very easily. That wire can be twisted very easily. You know, in case of cement bag, you in case of the cement bag, you in the bag you take the number of probes. A cement bag లో number of probes అంటే number of threads వస్తూ ఉంటాయి కదా, ఆ థ్రెడ్ మనం ఎలాంగేట్ చేయగలమా ఈజీగా? Tell me, you respond. సిమెంట్ బ్యాగ్ ఉన్న థ్రెడ్ ఉంటుంది కదా, ఆ థ్రెడ్ అంటే వైట్ థ్రెడ్, అది నైలాన్ వైర్ లాగా ఉంటుంది. ఆ థ్రెడ్ మనం ఎలాంగేట్ చేయగలమా ఈజీగా? Can we elongate them easily? No. That means it is having more Young's modulus. That's why it requires more stress or more deforming forces to undergo strain. That's why it is having more Young's modulus. కాబట్టి ఏదైనా ఒక వైర్ ని మనం ఎలాంగేట్ చేయలేకపోతున్నాం అంటే ఈజీగా, that is having more Young's modulus, but having less rigidity modulus. ఏ వైర్ కి అయితే లెస్ rigidity modulus ఉంటుందో అటువంటి వైర్ ని ఈజీగా ట్విస్ట్ చేయొచ్చు. Phosphor branch wire is having less rigidity modulus that can be twisted very easily. Just like the cement bag probe ఎట్లయితే ఈజీగా ట్విస్ట్ చేయగలమో because of less rigidity modulus, phosphor branch wire is also having less rigidity modulus. Okay, that's why they can be twisted very easily. So a wire which is having less rigidity modulus can be twisted easily. Okay, the wire which is having low rigidity modulus can be twisted easily. అంటే మెల్తిప్పడం, twisted easily. Okay, the wire which is having more Young's modulus, more Y, cannot be twisted easily, cannot be elongated, not twisted, cannot be elongated easily. అంటే ఇది తొందరగా ఎలాంగేట్ కాదు, సాగదు, ఇది తొందరగా ట్విస్ట్ కాదు. అంటే phosphor branch wire it is having peculiar characteristic property. Phosphor branch wire, just like the thread of the cement bag, phosphor branch wire have high Young's modulus. Phosphor branch wire is having high Young's modulus and low rigidity modulus. High Young's modulus and low rigidity modulus. Yeah. That means phosphor branch wire can be twisted easily but cannot be elongated easily. That is the peculiar property of the phosphor branch wire. Just like the cement bag probe. Cement bag యొక్క వైర్ ఎట్లయితే ఈజీగా ఎలాంగేట్ కాదు, ఈజీగా ట్విస్ట్ అవుతుంది. that wire is having low rigidity modulus and high Young's modulus. This is the characteristic property of the wire which is having low rigidity modulus. That wire can be twisted easily. ఏ వైర్ కి అయితే rigidity modulus తక్కువ ఉంటుందో దాన్ని ట్విస్ట్ చేయడం ఈజీ. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ యూ టేక్ ద రబ్బర్ వైర్ అండ్ స్టీల్ వైర్. స్టీల్ వైర్ మనం ఈజీగా ట్విస్ట్ చేయగలుగుతామా? వీ కెనాట్. కానీ రబ్బర్ వైర్ ఈజీగా ట్విస్ట్ చేయగలం కదా. కాబట్టి rubber wire is having low rigidity modulus and steel wire is having high rigidity modulus. తర్వాత the wire which is having high Young's modulus cannot be elongated easily. అంటే స్టీల్ వైర్ తీసుకోండి, దాన్ని మనం ఈజీగా ఎలాంగేట్ చేయగలుగుతామా? చేయలేం కదా. ఏదైతే ఈజీగా ఎలాంగేట్ చేయలేమో దానికి Young's modulus ఎక్కువగా ఉంటుంది. Pass bar branch wire is also having more Young's modulus. That's why we cannot elongate easily. Just like a probe or thread of the cement bag. Cement bag ek wire ni తీసి బయటికి తీసి and elongated గా చేయండి. That cannot be elongated easily. It requires more force to elongate. That's why that is having more Young's modulus. More Young's modulus దేనికైతే ఉంటుందో దానికి more elastic property కూడా ఉంటుంది. The body which is having more modulus of elasticity or more Young's modulus, that is said to be having more elastic nature. Okay, steel, rubber, in these two, which is more elastic, steel and rubber, which is having more elastic property under. Steel is having more elastic than rubber because in order to extend the both wires to the same extent, steel requires more force than the rubber because steel requires more stress. That's why it is having more Young's modulus. That's why steel is more elastic than rubber. That is also important point. Fifth one, steel is more elastic than rubber. So you have to remember one thing: the body which requires more force to elongate, that is said to be having more elastic. That's all. Rubber, steel lo రెండింటిని సేమ్ లెంత్ ఎక్స్టెండ్ అయ్యేట్టుగా చేయాలంటే which wire requires more force? Steel. That's why steel is more elastic than rubber. Okay. లేదా dimensions సేమ్ గా ఉన్న రబ్బర్ స్టీల్ రెండింటిని తీసినప్పుడు in which more stress is developed for the same strain. రెండింటితో సేమ్ స్ట్రెయిన్ ఉండేట్టుగా ఉండాలంటే దేంట్లో ఎక్కువ స్ట్రెస్ డెవలప్ అవుతుందో that is said to be more elastic. That's why steel is more elastic than rubber. Sixth one. Suppose by means of a wire of length L, original length L, a body is suspended. A body having mass M is suspended. Density of the body is rho b. Okay, whenever the body is suspended by means of a wire from the rigid support and when it is kept in air, the elongation of the wire when the body is in air is EA. When the body is suspended by means of a string from the rigid support and kept in air, because of this force, because of this weight mg is the deforming force acts on the wire along its length. Due to that, the wire length of the wire increases. That increase in length is called elongation of the wire when this is kept in air. That is EA. Suppose when the same body is submerged in a liquid, same body is suspended by means of string and the load is submerged in a liquid. The load is submerged in a liquid like this. In a liquid of density rho L. In this case, is the elongation is more, or in this case, the elongation of the wire is more? Tell me. In which case, the elongation of the wire is more? 12:44. Okay, 6 minutes more. In which case, the elongation of the wire is more? In this case, the net force acts on the body in downward direction is weight mg. This is the force acts on the body. Force acts on the body. Force acts here because of this body. The force F is equal to mg acts on the wire along its length. But whenever the body is submerged here, weight mg acts in downward direction and bind force acts on the body in upward direction. So net force acts on the body in downward direction is equal to mg of 1 minus density of liquid by density of the body. That means this force is less. That's why the force acts on the wire along its length when block is submerged in a liquid is less. That's why elongation here is less. So when the block is submerged in a liquid, then elongation of the wire is less. Here elongation of the wire is EA. Here elongation of the wire when block is submerged in a liquid is equal to EL. Okay, now what is the original length of the wire? They may ask. Okay, here you see, according to Young's modulus of the wire, F is equal to Y is equal to F by area of cross section of the wire capital A into E by L. That is equal to FL by A into Y. Sorry, A into E. FL by A into E. You see here, FL AE. Okay. In this case, that is equal to F is equal to by A by L into E. We can write now. F is equal to by A into E by L. We can write now. For the given Y is constant, A is constant, L is constant. F is equal to some constant K into E. That means F means that is the restoring force developed in the wire. If a load of weight mg acts along vertically downward direction, the same amount of restoring force is developed in the wire. That's why the force with which the block pulls the wire in downward direction, that is the restoring force developed in the wire. That's why this is the restoring force. Restoring force developed is directly proportional to elongation. Restoring force developed is directly proportional to the elongation of the wire. Because in both the cases, Y is same. That's why Y is constant, area of cross section is constant within the elastic limit. Original length of the wire is also constant in both the cases. That's why F is directly proportional to E. Now we substitute the data. There are two cases. F1 by F2 is equal to E1 by E2. So what is F1? F1 means whenever the block is in A, then the longitudinal force acts on the wire when block is in A is equal to weight of the block in A only. అంటే బ్లాక్ ని మనం A లో సస్పెండ్ చేసినప్పుడు Y లో డెవలప్ అయ్యే రెస్టోరింగ్ ఫోర్స్ ఎంతో అదేగా F1 అంటే Y ని A లో లోడ్ ని A లో సస్పెండ్ చేసినప్పుడు దీంట్లో డెవలప్ అయ్యే రెస్టోరింగ్ ఫోర్స్ లేదా టెన్షన్. రెస్టోరింగ్ ఫోర్స్ ఆర్ టెన్షన్ బోత్ ఆర్ సేమ్. ఓకే. సో F1 is equal to mg when load is in A. When load is in water, in liquid, then restoring force developed is equal to mg of 1 minus density of liquid by density of the body. Now substitute here. From F1 by F2 is equal to E1 by E2. In air, restoring force developed in the wire is mg. By in liquid, restoring force developed is equal to mg of 1 minus density of liquid by density of the body is equal to, when the load is in air, the elongation of the wire is E1. That's why that is equal to EA. By when load is in liquid, the elongation of the wire is EL. mg cancel. Do cross multiplication. EL by EA is equal to 1 minus density of liquid by density of the body. Density of the liquid by density of the body. Okay. From this, density of liquid by density of the body is equal to 1 minus EL by EA. Okay. Or when you take LCM, EA minus EL by whole by EA, that is equal to rho L by rho B. Then rho B by rho L, that is density of the body by density of the liquid. That is the specific gravity. Specific gravity or relative density of the body. Specific gravity. K is equal to rho B by rho L. Rho B by rho is equal to EA by EA minus EL. That is the question they asked previously. In mains they asked, you are given whenever the block is in air, floating in air, the elongation of the wire is so and so. When block is submerged in a liquid, the elongation of the wire is so and so. And what is the specific gravity or relative density of the body? They asked. Relative density is equal to density of the body by density of this body by density of the liquid in which it is submerged. That is equal to elongation of the wire in air by elongation of the wire in air minus elongation of the wire when block is submerged in a liquid. That is the case. Okay. In this way, we have to obtain. Okay. I will conclude the class because 12:49 is over. Okay, and have a nice day. I'm signing out. All of you. We have to discuss some more. Yeah, I will upload. Okay. Right now. Thank you.